Thanks for the invite. Um,
Yes,
Good evening to everybody. It's my pleasure to be there for this conference. I thank to Dr. Datta, Professor Jones for the great introduction. This topic seems to be something most of the world talks about, digitization and its impact in business model. In fact, we floated this course, now full-fledged course in India's premium institutes in IIMs and all. When we launched this program, we were reluctantly was launching, but the response is too good. Something what's happening in that business scenario. Is it happening across the world? Nothing to do with a certain country, whether developed or developing or underdeveloping. When you talk about the little bit theory, Schumpeter theory of I'll go very short and sweet because the time is only 20 minutes. I will share my email ID. Probably we wish to discuss more if you have questions. Schumpeter theory of economics talks about, he has done that complete, that industry into multiple phases. There are 5 waves industries faced. And almost if we see in that early 17th century, the businesses survived for almost 60 years. But the businesses mainly focuses on water, textile, and iron. And if we talk about late 18th century and early 19th century, the businesses were managed by rail and steam. But 19th century, earlier days, they invented the third wave, electricity, chemical, and internal combustion business. And slightly industry moved into aviation, electricals, and electronics. The interesting part came into the business history. That late 90s, when they invented the internets, that completely changed the business. In fact, what's happening, it also changed the complete business perceptions. You can see that slide which we are talking about. Earlier days, we are having a sufficient time. Normally, if you see talk about the consumer behavior, we have enough time to see any product. And inconvenient truth, unfortunately, the products which is available to the customer also less. All right. And these are a couple of Indian examples, but the same thing will happen across the world. If you talk about what's happening, again, I'll repeat, if you see the earlier days, today what's happening, the same 24 hours, but inconvenient truth, what's happening, our times has become much more busy and the number of products which is available to the customers are more. Somewhere there is a huge gap you will find where there is a necessity to do that. All right. And see, when earlier days, the products choices were limited, but today hundreds of thousands of products in every segment. I still remember in India, if you want to buy a shampoo, hardly 3-4 brands. There are no many brands, but today if you see there are thousands of brands. If you talk about shampoo, people doesn't buy shampoo. Then you will ask then what people will buy for it. That's what people also talk about today. The conventional 4 Ps is also dead. That is product, price, place, promotion. Then what you are looking out in the P, the first P, instead of product, we try to give solution. For an example, today if you give a shampoo, customer may not likes it. Probably you should give shampoo which helps you to reduce your dandruff. Probably you should give shampoo today's customer, they look for hair fall, maybe the hair straightening, hair strengthening. We have to see how the product has to be differentiated from the competition. And the end of the day, the product has to be moved to solution rather than just a product. If you give the product, it is happening in across all industries, right? And don't talk about the price, we talk about value, and don't talk about the promotion, educating the customer. When they talk about the place, we talk about how do you reach the customer. These are all important. For an example, see, earlier days, I still remember yoga is restricted only to few people. And today, when I go to Amazon website, I was quietly interesting the number of books which is available. Earlier days, if you talk about early 30 years before, yoga is yoga. But today, if you see, within yoga, we are getting sensory yoga for kids, yoga for men, yoga for women, yoga for, pregnant lady, yoga for, for the growing kids. And some extent, the way it is happening, we have a yoga for good morning yoga, good night yoga. There are specialists are coming and yoga games also came. And inconvenient truth, today yoga is also for dog. It's called doga. See that how the companies are trying to reinventing themselves. Is it required to reinvent? If you don't reinvent, what will happen? You will not be in the market. You will not be in the business. That's what today we talk about. Today, the customer is having very limited time, the choices which is available to them, plenty. So how do you able to make them the product into the customer's perspective? That's what we talk about in this remarkable product. And you should have the product, what you are doing to the customer should be absolutely remarkable. Otherwise, people won't come to you and buy the product. I'll tell a few examples. What is remarkable product? And how do you want to talk about the product with the different perspectives? Today, if we talk about the product himself is required, as I talked about earlier, we try to give solution rather than product. And even in the product, we talk about techno product. I'll come to that point later. For example, we talk about Nokia. I still remember India's out of 12 mobile which sold in India, once it was 10 mobiles were Nokia. But today, you know what happened to Nokia? But the company says we don't do anything, but somehow we went wrong. What they went wrong? If we talk about one of the cover story in Forbes magazine in the year 2007, 1 billion customer, and 2012 the company became bankrupt. Same thing if you talk about, it's absolute cute product. They make fantastic product, but the company also became bankrupt, right? They never believed that the way the company has grown remarkably, but the company became bankrupt. And same thing if you talk about Blockbuster, and Blockbuster CEO never treated, Netflix is a competition to them. He said, I'm in a different business altogether. Who's Netflix? But in 2012, what happened? Netflix became bankrupt. Today, that Netflix valuation is close to 194 billion. Believe me, this is what we talk about the business. The conventional businesses are absolutely disruption. And the company, whichever they are disrupting, they are coming with the one word called technology. That is called what we talk about. What is the role of technology coming to the picture? Today, if you could able to see, this is the role of digitization. When you do human being, we can able to do X. When you use some instruments, we can do X. When you use animals, we can 10X. When you use some machines, 1000X. When you do the same with the technology, it is going to the lakhs. How companies could be able to leverage out of it. Fantastic today if we talk about Uber. When they started Uber, sometimes there is a huge argument whether there is disruptive technology or they are not disruptive. That is a different question, what Professor Christensen also talks about. That is, but still I talk about Uber is a technology company. They don't say we are a taxi guys, but still they killed the business and they redefine the businesses. Amazon also started with bookstores, and see how what happened today. Encyclopedia became failure, and wikis became more. If we talk about Zoom, that's what today when the conference was started, we never thought of it, right? That Zoom is took the valuation during that COVID time, it is reached phenomenal, right? And Google, it talks about technology. What industry are we moving about? Earlier, everything became scarcity, and today everything became abundance. Employees, hyper, because that is what we are marching towards, thanks to the technology, what is offering to the customers. Now I'll come to that. What is the customer when you talk about? It's a classic Indian example. All right. In fact, I have written a case. I'm sure by end of this month, we have written a case. This case will come into the Richard Ivy, available in Harvard Business School also. This is the future company, what we talk about in India. It's a classic example, how they completely redefine the business model. This is actually the company name called Jio, from the product of Reliance Industries. Reliance core business was, if you see that conventionally, they are basically from that, multiple business, but still their huge businesses come from oil, refineries. But in near future, they already realized that the future is all about Jio. What is Jio? If you see, that is a oil, that is a mirror impact of oil is became Jio. That's why the brand Jio. It's a oil. Even if you know, guy, I believe you must be knowing it. Today, country like Saudi, they realize that near future, they don't get more business in oil. They already started focusing Hajj as a business. They already started that constructing 5-star properties when you go for that Hajj and all, because that's why every country even need to reinvent themselves. If you don't reinvent your businesses, probably the survey will become challenging. And until today, Jio never mentioned their telecom companies. You know why? In India, it's very interesting how this company made the business model. If you talk about, they made data is a voice became free, and data, probably we are the one of the lowest in the world as far as data prices is concerned. It's very interesting. If the professors are coming from US or Dubai or any other country, in India, we just pay per GB data, maybe less than 20 rupees. If I put it into US dollar, not even 10 cents. That's it, maybe 15 cents. But the same cost, INR goes to Dubai, 1200, or maybe we can say, right, 1200 INR, maybe 12 to 15 US dollar per GB data consumption. So India has become one of the biggest platform. How this company could be able to reinvent themselves. And Geo never said it's a telecom company. And what this company is working on, this is what the company completely focusing. In fact, if time permits, I can discuss only this as a business model, how this company emerged. It is not a telecom company at all. In fact, now they are into multiple business. Probably you might be knowing it, why company like Facebook is investing less than 10% stake for close to 10 billion US dollar. Including Google is investing. Today, if we talk about during COVID time, this company could be able to generate close to 1.5 lakh crore. Maybe I can say, right, 30 billion US dollar, almost 25 to 30 billion, they could be able to generate just a matter of 45 days because they absolutely reinvented the businesses. And this is another classic example of India, how these are all companies like more or less same, like, Uberization. People call today Uberization. The new word also emerged. Ola also started the same thing. And the company which was survived long back, today they were not. And the company which is born yesterday, today they were leaders in their particular domain. Very interestingly, if you see, and how it could be able to do that. That's what today you said, just offering a product, you may not be able to surviving in the business. So what will be the future of businesses which we talk about? Today, the product is all about smart product. What is smart product which you talk about? When you talk about the smart product, is all about that information technology completely redefining the business models. For an example, today, if you are a manufacturer, if you give the just a product, customer doesn't prefer it. Then how can you able to add technology into the product? For an example, if you're having a product, try to bring hardware, software, data storage, microprocessor, software, connectivity, right? Like a Bluetooth. And if you could be able to bring all these products under your platform, in your product, the possibility of survival will become more. Then you'll ask the reason, so how can you be able to bring it, all this stuff? Today, if we talk about Apple, one of the great company, they reinvented the company's business model. One of the product is iPod, that is intellectual portable over disk. Everybody, entire world knows iPod as a product. But interestingly, iPod is not a first mover in the market at all. The product was launched by two different companies called Rio and Kaba. Two different products were launched in the early 2000. The brands are miserably failed. I can say nobody knows. But what made them iPod to become success? Because they brought the right product, right technology, right software, and bring the product with that. Probably if you see out of that, one of the biggest portfolio in the profit maximization, iPod contribution was high. In this company, 2003 to 2007, the brand became 150 billion. Out of the 10 billion came only through iPod. So how can you able to bring that product with the technology? That's what I said, right? Product to smart product to connected product. How can you able to do that? If you are a manufacturer of tractors, today customer doesn't want tractors. Then what they want, the tractor should have a smart product. How can you able to bring smart product? This one particular slide talks about much better. For an example, if we talk about that, 1 second. Yeah. What is the smart product is all about? The form, because today that the strategy, what we are learned to conventional way, killing competition, how to compete others, probably we have to think the world. I really make this type of academic contribution, which talks about more collaborative, grow together. World is big, no need to compete anybody. Competition is fine, but you see the Tesla, how the brand has come up. Collaboration, cooperation, right? And today you'll have to join with multiple partners. You may not have that everything, but right, we can grow together and bring that. See how the multiple stakeholders benefit. If I sell the tractors, I should have the technology. If I have the proper technology, what I can able to do that? I can have a better farm system. When I have a better farm system, I can able to predict the weather. Then I can also know how I can able to do that seed optimization. And I can able to also to do irrigation system. If I could able to do completely customer wish to buy the product. Today, the companies are not only made only tractors, it is brought into every product, every category. Tesla is one of the classic example. And you also talk about, there is a brand called Babolat. What Babolat does, it is also a tennis racket. What that does, that racket will have a sensor, will have a technology that could able to predict your ball speed and spin of the ball, and also to talk about that how to play the ball. And if you talk about same thing happened with Ralph Lauren, the brand which they launched the apparel will have the smart technology product. What is the benefit out of it? That talks about your shirt available in almost 5 years before they launched it. It talks about your calorie, what it is burned, what is your BMI index, what is your heart rate, what is your beat, and what about your calorie data. Everything can be accessible with your technology. If you want to survive in the long run, obviously we should try to able to reinvent your business, whichever business are you in. Just making a product innovation doesn't help to survive.